Hey there, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the Emonda episodes, and in this video we're going to take an already awesome bike, the Emonda SL7, and make it even better. How so, you ask? We're going to install a power meter, proprietary to the SRAM Quarq AXS system, put on some new tires to make them tubeless, install a new schwanky lightweight bar, wrap it in my favorite bar tape, and we'll even take a look at some new limited edition Bontrager shoes. Lots to do, let's get at it. So the first thing we're going to do is swap this bar and stem for that nice sweet one-piece Bontrager bar and stem. Just a number of mounts in here. It's your Garmin mount. This will be a light mount. It's a Bontrager computer mount. $238 grams. That is crazy. Part of that process is we're going to cut the steer tube, and it goes without saying that you need to make sure you know your measurements and your reach from the saddle to your shifters before you go and order a bar like this. All right, so we'll start by unwrapping these bars. Usually I just cut a strip right down the bar, but I might use this tape again. So if you watched the last video, I think the bike came in at around 17 pounds, 17.12 pounds. So with all these mods, before you scroll to the end of the video, let me know how much you think the bike's gonna weigh after everything's done. I would be tickled if we dropped a pound off this bike. It is really nice not having any shift cables and housing. It was just one 5mm Allen key bolt that fastens, I think clamps down this band around the bar to hold the lever in place. So you just loosen that enough, slide the lever off. Bar's off. Next thing we're going to do is make a mark in our steer tube of where we want to cut it. So we don't loosen our stem bolts yet. Just going to mark the steer tube. So because we don't have a shift cable to deal with, and because this is internally routed, we're just going to attach the lever to the caliper here with some elastic bands. Get this lever out of the way. We're gonna undo the stem. The stem's the only thing holding the steer tube in right now. So you just wanna make sure you have a hand on the fork or it'll just drop out. There are some gussets around it that would probably hold it in, but we don't want the fork to drop out anyway. There we have it. And then there's just a kind of a star flange that's fastened in here. So you just loosen that off with an Allen key and pull that piece out. So this is a full carbon steer. In a aluminum steer, you're gonna have a star flange that you actually have to pound down into the steer. All right, in order to cut your steer tube, you need a guide to hold the steer tube, something solid like a clamp to hold the guide. This Prep Stand Pro works pretty well, and a hacksaw, and your better half to hold the vacuum. Thanks, hon. All right, you can start the vacuum. Did it suck it in?
No, it's still there.
Yay! Done. So now we're gonna give our frame a quick wipe, just inside the steer tube where the bearings sit. Clean it out. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of grease. You can use a brush, but I don't mind using my fingers. This helps you become one with the bike. We'll give our steer tube a wipe as well. Wipe the old grease off, apply some new stuff. You can always be liberal with grease. Put our bearings back on, making sure the tapered side is going up. And tapered side going down. That little bit centers the steer tube. Put our locking cap back in there. There's likely a torque spec. I don't know what it is right now, but we'll definitely be torquing it down before we ride it. Put our handlebars on. I cut the steer tube so I could have a 1 centimeter spacer below and above, just in case I need to adjust my drop. I'll tighten it just a little more than usual, just to snug everything together. Make sure things are feeling good. I'll put the levers back on, wrap the bars. Not to over tighten those. So before we wrap our bars, we'll secure the hydraulic hoses with some electrical tape so they run in the right spot. Usually there's a groove on the front of the bar where the housing fits into. I think it feels better when it's at the front versus below. It's a little off, but it's the closest blue I could get. So this is the same stuff I put on my checkpoint. However, it's the 2.5 millimeter versus the 3.2. So a little thinner, still has a lot of cushion to it. Wrapping bars is all about being patient. I don't think I do this properly every single time, but it's always a learning experience. There's a guide that shops have that I never get when I do this. I should. That holds the bars, prevents them from moving. It's very helpful. So far so good. Basically what I try to do is wrap the bottom so you end up coming over the top and wrapping it around this way. So when you're gripping your bar, you tend to rotate forward and it will tighten your bar tape versus if you wrap it the other way. And if you're putting pressure on your bar, it'll unwrap your tape. So this is the way you want to do it, ideally. If you've left your yourself enough overhang, it'll tuck neatly into the end with the bar unplug, which I almost never do right. No black showing. On this side, you want to go opposite. Keep it consistent. So I've been using lizard skin bar tape for a while now, but what do you guys like? I'm open to suggestions. Maybe I'll try in my next build video. Okay, so insert the clip of the initial weight of the bike, 17.16, and Trek claims that it's 17.12. And now let's weigh this. So to be fair, I took off the bottle cage and the pedals like I originally weighed it. So that's what I thought. Just about half a pound. I'm happy with that, nice. So next thing we're going to do is remove the crank, take off this center spider, and replace it with the power meter. So there's actually two spots for two different Allen key sizes. There's a 10 mil and an 8 mil. You don't actually ever take off the 10 mil, the outer one. It's just a cap that holds that together. So what we're gonna do first, shift our derailleur down. We'll take the chain off. Another nice thing about SRAM is they have quick links, unlike Shimano, so you can break the chain off really easily. Now we need to back this out. It's like a snug fit system. I much prefer the Shimano system, but it works. All right, so now we are going to take this center spider out and replace it with this. So this is the power meter. To do so, we need to first take off the chain rings, and that requires a T30 Torx. And then after that, we'll take off these center pieces. Requires a T20. So not super common sizes. Usually you'll see a T25 on most tools, but you'll need a socket set for that. These are very light. Got like an aluminum plate on the front. Feels plastic. That might be plastic. So that's basically it. This is replacing it. 64 grams, a little less than 100 grams. Not bad. Let's make sure we torque it down. Once we have it here, we're just gonna give it a wipe and reapply some grease. And of course we want to reapply some grease to the bottom bracket bearings as well. Clean any dirt out of there that might have gotten in there. Snug it back up. Because I don't have a torque wrench here that goes up to the 48 to 54 Newton meters that this needs, I'm just gonna snug it up and then I'll take it into the shop and have them torque it up. Can always give it a little wiggle, see how tight it is. Feel right there when it starts to clamp down. No more wiggle. Now I'll put the chain back on. Most important tool right here. So as I mentioned, it is directional. You can see the flat edge of the chain is on the top and the bottom. And there will be little engravings on the drive side of the chain facing outwards. Just hold the brake, push down on the crank. That sets the quick link. Nice. Paper out. All right, let's see where we're at with weight. Still under 17. All right, so I just converted the rear wheel to tubeless with the new Schwalbe tire, but the video didn't save. So I'm gonna do the same thing to the front, actually record it this time, and I'll give you guys an idea of what the change looks like. So that's the profile change. Quite a big difference from a 25 to a 28. I mean, I'd have to measure it, but that looks bigger than a 28. So I'm not racing anymore, I'm just putting in long miles, so that's why I'm going to a 28. I've been liking Schwalbe tires quite a bit lately, so I thought I'd give these Pro Ones a try. So first thing, obviously let the air out. And then we're gonna break the bead on both sides. So the bead of the tire that sits just inside the rim, there's a bit of a hook on the rim in most rims that'll sit in that channel, but in order to make the tire as loose as possible and as easy as possible to get off, we want to break that bead off and put the bead of the tire in the center channel of the rim. So I'm just going to pinch the tire all the way around. Once that tire is nice and loose, you should just be able to peel that bead over the side of the rim. It's a good trick for when you're on the road and you get a flat. Don't have to rely on your tire levers. Next step is we just need to take this rim strip out. It's not tubeless ready, this one. Fortunately, I had to buy the tubeless rim strip. It's kind of disappointing. I wish they would just include it and actually just keep it on the rim itself. Now, these rim strips are pretty delicate. And once they're on, they're pretty much on for good. It's very tough to get them out. So we want to make sure it's lined up perfect. And the way to do this is by putting the valve through it and putting that valve through the valve hole. This will ensure that the rim strip is in the right spot. Now, what I do is I just stretch the rim strip. I have another little trick just to ensure that that rim strip is centered. Just put my tire lever and just go all the way around. Just gonna make sure that rim strip is seated. I'll put the tire on. So this is a Schwalbe Pro One. I've never used it before, but I really like the G1 speeds that I have on my gravel bike, so I thought I'd give these a go. It's 28 millimeter, 700C by 28, and they are directional, so to find that directional arrow, which you get a pretty good idea just by the tread pattern. And then I always like to line up my valve with a marker on the tire. So we'll put it with the 1. And this primarily is just in case of a flat. You get a flat, you can reference it back to the valve. Usually only used when you have a tube in there, but still just maintain the same habit. Make sure it's in the center channel. Good, so at this point we'll put the sealant in, and then we'll put some soap on there. It just helps the tire seat a little better and closes up any of those air gaps. So an ounce or two is probably good. So again, just gonna make sure the tire is in the center channel carefully. Sealant just makes it really slippery. It's pretty incredible. I haven't had to use an air compressor for a while now. These tubeless ready rims and tires seat on with just a regular pump. There you go. That's what we want to hear. Check the bead. All right, let's put the wheels back on the bike and weigh it. With all the modifications done, bars, power meter, tubeless setup. This doesn't sound like that much. We'll see how much it weighs. So it now weighs more than when we started. We dropped about half a pound with the bars, added a quarter of a pound with the power meter, and then we added another roughly half a pound doing tubeless with these tires. So these tires are pretty tanky. They are a heavier tire, and I didn't really know what to expect. So knowing what I know now, I maybe would have just gone to like a latex tube and skipped this whole tubeless process. But we'll ride it and see how it feels. Still light, I mean, can't complain with a 17-pound bike. So there you have it. We effectively lightened up the front end, made the bike handle a little bit more lively. We added power to the bike, and we added tubeless and a higher volume tire. So making the bike a little bit more comfortable. In the end, I thought it would be a little bit lighter than it started, but it's only about 50 grams heavier, which I'll take considering all the benefits we added. But that's not it. I did mention that I had some new shoes I wanted to show you guys. These are the brand new Bontrager XXX road shoe in the special edition, limited edition colorway. So they do have that like chrome red color going on. I've never actually worn Bontrager shoes. So in the past, because I have baby-sized feet, I wore a Mavic 40.75 that fit me absolutely perfect. And I have a history of playing soccer, or we actually even do call it football in Canada, the people who actually play football. But I always wore my shoes super tight, so I had almost no room at the end, but I wanted them to fit perfect like a glove. And Mavics always did that for me. But those are really old, like 7 or 8 years old. So I figured it was time to upgrade. And now these shoes actually come in a 40.5, which fit me really well. And I'm super stoked about that. So they do have the stiffest outsole, OCLV carbon outsole, replaceable heel pad. I am running Look pedals right now because my speed play cleats were worn out and I didn't want to spend $100 on new cleats. Double boa, which I really like, and I did replace the insole. Typically cycling shoes come with a really flimsy, crappy insole. You do want to add something like, I mean, there's a bunch of good brands out there, Superfeet, these Quarq soles, Bontrager does some, and they have basically an orthotic, a general orthotic that helps support the subtalar joints. So when you're stepping down really hard in your pedal stroke, you're not getting that medial collapsing of the arch, and it just helps keep things in a line. There's also a few pads for vibration dampening and cushioning. So I do recommend especially every high-end cycling shoe that you own, you definitely should have an insole in it. As for the upper is a leather, bit of a synthetic leather blend, I believe. I didn't actually look, but it's really supple. When I tighten the shoe on, it forms around my foot really well. I feel like these are gonna break in really nicely, and then it's perforated all over for venting, so including a few little mesh vents on the bottom of the shoe. So I'm super stoked. I haven't actually been out riding these. The last time I wanted to go out for a ride, when I first got these, it thunderstormed, so yeah, these paired up with the bike is going to be wicked. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Hey, stop it. You can pull the vacuum out.